Are we all okay? Sweet. So we know how this works, right? No, like, what's your favorite job? Like all those trash, like 8-year-old questions. Oh. Let's do like stuff that's like going to benefit us and help us on our journey. Yeah. So go, I guess. If anyone wants to kick it off. That was pressure, wasn't it? Because I said, like, normally you're really good at this yesterday, and yesterday you didn't ask one.
Oh. He's got to bring it
Go,
down.
Connor. He's prepped.
What would be one piece of advice for a graduate in college, like even one tip or tips, which maybe you wish someone had told you?
You go.
Okay. I think like in colleges, sometimes you can build connections with people, but like for me, what I've seen over the years, I didn't go to college, so I don't, as in my experience will be different to yours, but it's like, you can be good, but it's about the right people knowing you're good. That's the, like, you have to get known. And obviously, when I first arrived here, it's very different now because you, like, your social media can really work. But I think what people sometimes forget about social media is, like, you can post a solo, but if someone doesn't know the context of that, they, like, I would always, like, I remember giving this advice to someone who graduated from somewhere that I taught and kind of saying to him, because he was really good, but he wasn't getting breaks. Like, he was working a lot in hip-hop theater, because he's a fabulous all-round dancer, but it took him a while to get a break in the more kind of commercial industry. And I kind of said to him, well, you know, I know you're really good. Kenrick knows you're really good. Kate Prince knows you're really good. You know what I mean? All their companies know you're really good, but, like, Jerry doesn't know you're really good. You know what I mean? Or, you know, like, Aisha doesn't know you're really good, you know? So I said, the best thing you can do, because he was dancing a lot with, say, Lucas, or, you know, he'd come to art class, and like, he was always like, you know, like I said, great dancer, but I was like, right, let's say Lucas, like, you dance with Lucas a lot, so, like, get a video of you two dancing together, because Jerry knows how good Lucas is. You know what I mean? Everyone knows how good Lucas is. Like, so if there's a video of you two dancing together and you look of a similar level, then it's very, that's what I mean by context. You can post a solo, or you can post a video with her, and then it's like, cool, but with, like, maybe who you've sent it to don't know that you guys are great. Do you know what I mean? So this is what I mean by context. So you kind of need something that everyone is aware of, or at least the people who you're sending it to are aware of. You need to kind of introduce context to what you're sending them. Do you get what I mean by that? So yeah, and then the same thing, like, if you go to a class and, like, there are working dancers there, like, be near them, you know what I mean? Like, so you can kind of feed off their energy and see how you, because more often than not, people, like, they want to see that you fit with that bracket, you know? Like it or not, in the dance industry, and for me personally, I kind of like, well, not separating, but, like, there's the dance that we love, and, like, I still love dance, you know, but, like, there's also the industry, and they can be together. Like, you can still love dance and be in the industry, of course you can, but it's very difficult, you know, because your kind of emotions and your personality are so tied up in what you do. But you kind of have to, like, you do need to be able to separate a little bit, but when you're sending stuff to someone, kind of using people they use as a reference, like if Leanne May is in a class, let's say, or, okay, say now, if Shawar is in a class, or, you know what I mean, and you know she's there, like, dance next to that person. Because when you show that you belong in that company, then it just gives, it's kind of like that seal of approval. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Like, I know my first big job, when I moved here, I was dancing with all the main working male dancers at the time. And as soon as they all saw I was fitting in with them, they would just suggest me for other jobs if someone was like, oh, we need a guy. Oh, I just met this guy, we did this job. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like, that would be my bit of advice, that, like, because people love posting solos and everything on social media, and cool, do that by all means, but don't be surprised if you keep doing that and you're not giving people context for your solo, and then you're not getting the response you want. You know? So that's what I would say.
I feel like I would have, like, a list of things to say. The thing is, I went to college, but when I got out, I had no idea of what to do. So I think I just learned it by myself. That's why I always say to my students, like, just ask me, because for the first, like, 3 years that I was out, I was like, where is the work, you know? I think, like, my advice is have patience, because I didn't have it, because they taught me not to have it. Like, literally, like that. I feel like I got told in college to, you have to get a job straight away. Now, I booked my first job when I was 26. And I'm so happy for that. because looking at it now, before I didn't have the tools that made me enjoy what I was doing. Does that make sense? Like, and I felt like we forget that like everyone's journey is different. So you can see like a 14 years old dude going on tour. Good for them. Like, I'm so happy. But then like look at your own journey, because I felt like we get like told you have to get out of college and be ready. Sometimes you're not like grown enough to actually be able to do it. And back in the days, I used to be like, why am I not working? Like, why is she working and I'm not working? Now I'm like, oh, now I know, you know? So I feel like it's just it comes with have patience, which I still don't have, but I try to tell myself to have it, and have the right people next to you that will be part of your journey. Because when I left college, I didn't really have anyone that came with me. Like literally everyone was like, goodbye dance. So have good people next to you that will support you, even if you do different things. It's all good. So many things. And do your research. Do your research, because I feel like I just wanted to dance. What does that mean? You know what I mean? Like, whose class? I didn't know people, because I felt like I did a lot of musical theater when I was in college, and then I was like, oh, I like commercial hip hop, like, wow, you know? So I didn't know people. I didn't know anything, and that's when I went to LA, I started to know people, but I had no idea, so I had to like, you know, write down things that I didn't know. And I think the knowledge comes also with who, like John said, like, get your face in front of people, but what people? Because sometimes they're not the people that are like they're like the famous people on Instagram. Sometimes they're the other people that like no one knows, but you should be knowing them, because they are the like most amazing people on earth that can teach you and give you a job eventually. You know what I mean? It just comes with asking questions to the right people. Have good teachers, like take class, and not just take class and like leave. If you want to ask something to the teacher because it's approachable, ask questions. Ask questions, because you're going to get given things, you know?
And I think the most important thing is like, know that your journey is your journey and not the person next to you. Because you're always going to be like, oh, so-and-so is working. Like, all three of us have the complete different journees. I booked my first job at 18 on my first tour. John probably hadn't even started dancing by 18, and Irene was still in college.
I actually decided I wanted to dance as a professional at 18, 19. I didn't think I was going to dance. It was just, so it's crazy to think that.
So like, don't be like, well, so-and-so's booked this job and I haven't. Because like, look in front of you, we all have, there couldn't be any more different. Like, but then we all still managed to craft our own journey and devise our own way. But then I think the one thing that we all have in common is that we all found a reference, and we all aimed for the highest ability people. Or we always looked at who was doing what we want to do, and we all went and trained with those circles. So if you ask us all who we learned the most from, it's normally going to be the same bunch of people, or within-ish. Yeah, like John said, he surrounded himself by, or he went and fit in with the most working dancers. When I left and moved to London, I was like, okay, who's booking all the jobs? Jay Ravel. I can't look as good as him. I'm not going to be as tall as him, but I'm going to try and outdance him. And show that you can fit in with these people. And that's when then people go, okay. And then you get recommended to agents. Like, and someone's word is way more than you sending a video. Like, I had Anthony Kay, we bumped into Chris Minot in a train station. Anthony Kay was like, have you met Kane Silver? And Chris was like, no. And he was like, you should sign him. And that co-sign from someone who was so established was worth 10 times more than them liking a video, you know? So if you can like surround yourself with people who are like established and they believe in your ability, that carries so much weight. But then you have to live up to it.
Yeah.
Right?
No, definitely. Yeah.
Dope.
Just one thing, like, because the journey thing is so important. Like, you do have to, like, patience, as Irene said, and like everyone has such a different journey, and it takes different time frames for every single person. You know what I mean? It's like, that is the toughest part. Getting your foot in the door is the toughest part, you know? And that can take a year, 2 years, for some people 3 years. You just don't know. And that's the hard part, is maintaining your motivation during that, you know? Yeah. Like that's what I find. Like, there are so few auditions now, but even it's not like there were loads of auditions when I moved here. I moved to London in 2005, and there weren't like that many auditions, but at least there were some. And when you went, it was kind of like this reminder of why you do it. You know what I mean? And it's like, you just feel like because I remember being really frustrated at first sometimes when you'd go and like I would feel like I was dancing quite well, but I would get cut, and then I'd look at the people being kept. And because like Kane said, like I started when I was 20, so I started super late, and I didn't grow up around performers. I grew up around like normal people. You know what I mean? I mean, we are normal people, but you know, but the personalities are magnified. You know what I mean? In the entertainment industry, the personalities are just like larger. I just feel like everything in it is magnified. You know what I mean? So like, it took me a while to kind of get used to that, and you may have to go through a period where you go to auditions and you might get through the first couple of rounds and then they cut you, but they cut you just because they don't know you. It's not that they don't like what you do, but a lot of the time you're being kind of hired as well as for your talent, but also for your time and your personality and what you bring. So like, you know, if the three of us came to an audition that Yaz is holding and she knows these two, but she doesn't know me and she just needs two people for a job, like you're not going to be mad at her for booking them. If I know that, but I didn't know that at the time, so I would leave. I'd be like quite frustrated. But in a way, it's nice because I love, like, I'm very, I'm not so bad now, but I used to be hyper competitive. So like, I would, in an audition, that really works for you because it just, like, I wanted to absolutely destroy the people I was dancing beside.
Roast thy neighbor.
Yeah, exactly. You know, but especially when I knew that it was like people who already have pre-existing relationships with the choreo, because you can see people talking or whatever beforehand, you know what I mean? Like, especially when you're by yourself and you're new, you know, because you don't really have, like, I didn't have anyone to chat to, so I'd just be kind of like seeing, okay, what's happening in the room, and then be like, okay, so they obviously know that person, right? That person's, yeah, okay. And then, like, you know, make sure you kind of, I would like at least want to send my message, you know what I mean? It's like, if you're going to cut me, you're going to cut me knowing that I'm,
And to piggyback on that, like when I was in LA, like the land of opportunity, on the same day there was a Lady Gaga audition and an Usher audition. Usher was there, Lady Gaga was there. And the lines are so big, it's kind of like you had to go, which one am I doing? Because there's no way I'm doing both. Obviously I was going for Usher, and I was so like, I'm gonna be the token ginger white guy that roasts everyone. Like, I know I have the ability for this, I know the music inside out, I actually know most of the choreos, like this is gonna be my job. And I was so like, I'm booking it, I know I am. And I walked in the room with 3 of the dancers which have already danced for him, in a room of like where they have 8 at a time, and they put me in that corner, and then all their friends were over there. So the moment, it didn't matter how good I was because they did this. You know what I mean? And I left and I was pissed. I was like, I've queued for 4 hours. I've like mentally coached myself that I'm about to book my dream job. And not only did they not see me, they didn't look that side of the room. Like, and you have to be able to not let those things beat you and knock you back, because you have to be aware of why it's happening. Because on the grand scheme of it, when it's the other way around, you'd probably do it as well. Although it's not nice. Like, if loads of people walk in a room and like John and Marco come in that corner, I'm probably gonna go, right? Because they're my besties, like, or they're my friends. They're the people you relate to, and that's what we gravitate to as humans. And you have to remember, like, we're a human, not just a dancer. And that's where the human aspect comes in and not the dancer. And I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying it happens. And you have to not let those things defeat you.
Yeah, and you have to be consistent with who you take class with. For example, like, if you want to work with a certain person and you know that, I mean, don't do it just for that. You have to enjoy the dancing too, because you can't. I see a lot of people just taking some classes and then you're like, are you enjoying it? I don't know. Like, what? But you still want to enjoy the dancing. If you enjoy that class, keep being consistent with that person, for example. Like, show that you will be there every week. You will be working hard for 2 years, for 3 years, for 4 years. Like, I've seen too many people giving up because they didn't get the first auditions when I came out of college. I'm still here. And I'm still trying to get the jobs, you know what I mean? So, and it was painful before, and now it's almost like, I love this too much to let it go. And this is why I said, like, have good friends next to you, because it's almost like a journey. Everyone's journey is different, but if you're together and like you help each other out, you tell yourself when there is an audition, which there isn't nowadays, but like, you help each other out, like, does this video look good? Tell me, like, be honest. Not be like, hey babes, like, you know, like, be honest with
She's right.
each other.
I had a John. That was my John. I'd come home from like jobs, auditions, and I'd go, this is pissing me off, da-da-da-da-da, and he'd go, don't think of it like that. Like, do you know what I mean? So when I'd like kind of be honest with you, or if I'm in the wrong, be like, yeah, but you have to see it from the other side, and I'd be like, all right. Like,
Yeah.
it's true. Dope. Good question. That was long answers. And go, Neve.
Right, when you're out from college, how did you balance making money and training?
Oh, that's a good question.
I'll go. I was really smart that I managed, and I spoke to Taz about this quite a bit, I managed to make sure that I locked out one day where if you get the opportunity to like teach, if you go and teach, you're probably going to make more money teaching for a school, say earning like 15, 20 pounds an hour than you are going to Tesco's and earning 10, right? So I blocked out every Saturday and sometimes a Sunday, and I would work and teach like 6 to 8 hours, and I'd be dead, and it would be the worst day of the week. But I knew that one day allowed me to do whatever I wanted for 6 days. Because, I mean, not whatever I wanted, but like I could pay my rent and live on Weetabix and try and get into class. Do you know what I mean? Whereas like a lot of dancers, I feel like they move to London because London is like the place to be, right? They'll move to London and then they spend all their time trying to make money to stay in London and not actually do the thing they went there for. So my biggest piece of advice would be everyone's situation is going to be different. Like if you live in Oxford or Swindon, London's accessible. But if you're from Bolton, London's not really that accessible. So you have to weigh up the pros and cons, and everyone is different. But whatever you do, structure yourself a plan. Like if you have a plan, it's going to be easier to like follow. If you just wake up and be like, I fancy class today, and then you go, it's raining outside, you're probably not going to go and take class. Therefore, you're not structuring your life. You're not structuring your training. You're not structuring your money. So if you go, I'm going to take 3 classes a week. I need to make this much to like take those classes. I need to make this much to pay my rent, and this much is travel. What jobs can I do or side hustle can I do that's going to allow me to do that but not burn me out? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying whether to do it or not, but a lot of girl dancers used to be like, oh, we'll try and do like podium because it freed you up all day for rehearsals if you got a job and you could make money in the night. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but it was, you'll walk away with 100 to 150 pounds for an evening, and you're free all day to take class. You don't really take class until the afternoon, so you sleep all morning because you're tired from working all night, and it kind of falls in that way. But I blocked out like days of teaching. So I'd either teach on a Saturday and Sunday all day, and then I knew I didn't have to stress about like making money for the rest of the week. I could just focus on my training.
That was a good plan. I wasn't that organized. I had no idea. Like I had to figure it out. I had like 5 jobs, but again, I looked at the classes that I wanted to take that week, and I just was making sure that that day at that time I was free, because again, what I said, like consistency, like I was gonna be in, Cisco's class every week because I had to be there even if I looked crazy. But I had to like be there every week. I had just try to find and ask around, like try to find like a job that gives you the afternoon free to take the classes that you want to. And there is so many options. It is available. Like I used to work in a restaurant, I used to teach in the weekend because usually in the weekend there wasn't that many classes to take. And I was so lucky I had a job where my manager, like I could tell her, I can't lie. So I was like, I'm gonna lie tomorrow and be ill, but I really want to go to that class. Like I would tell her, like, I was very lucky, and she was like, it's fine, I'm gonna cover you. I was so obsessed with training that I would be like, oh my God, I need to go to that class. Like, like I used to be like, not for an audition or for anything, like literally for classes. And I was lucky enough that I got given the time out to do that. It is so hard because London is expensive. But for example, the teaching, I actually did my teaching qualifications in college, and I could get jobs for teaching for like tap and modern that paid me a little bit more, for example. I don't really use that anymore. I use the tap one, but like try to like talk to your friends, like the podium dancers, and in the evening I did that too. Like it's just try to not live for the jobs and the money though, because I've seen people that couldn't balance it. I was lucky enough that I could balance it because I also went to train in LA a lot. So I followed those 3 months a year. Like I literally just worked the whole year to then go and train. But it's hard because sometimes you're so tired that you're like, oh, I can't go and take class, but that's the reason why you're here. So I think like the plan to like write down things is very important, because then sometimes you lose yourself, London is a big city. There's so many people, so many jobs, so many dances. It's like you have to, I like writing as well. Like I like having not a plan, a very strict plan, but like remind yourself that you wanted to do that. Instead of going to bed because you're tired. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I never.
That's why I went. Oh,
It's
no.
like, oh, no, I know.
Yeah, I was just quite lucky. I've never done anything except dance. But yeah, but I mean, I would like taught. When I moved here, like everything happened pretty quickly for me, and so like I got into the work scene within a couple of weeks, and then I had classes within like 6 weeks of moving here. So but that's not normal. That's just rare. Like it just happened for whatever circumstance. No, I'm not saying like I don't mean that in terms of I'm anything special. I'm really not. But I just mean sometimes circumstances just happen. You know what I mean? And I was just a beneficiary of those circumstances happening. But obviously, I've seen tons of people, like do promo work, which I guess doesn't
really
exist so much
happen
anymore
now.
because of the internet.
We used to stand outside. Well,
Oh my
never,
God, I
but-
used to do that.
Yeah, like people would flyer and
Hand
stuff.
flyers out
I
at
used to do
Piccadilly.
that, and I was embarrassed to give it out, so I would just like throw them in the bin.
And you'd walk down Leicester Square, and if you look in every bin, there's
And
like
you're like,
100
yeah.
flyers. And you,
I was like, I don't want anyone to see me. I used to like have a hat, or like I used to do it with a friend because I was like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. I shouldn't be dancing. Anyway, yeah.
But another thing, like Irene said there, that was super important. Like I remember I had a friend who used to work in Selfridges 8 to 12, Monday to Friday. So then he'd have every afternoon free, and it was like, let's say it was £10 an hour. That's £200 a week. So, he could probably pay his rent from that and take some class and have a bit of a social life as well. You know what I mean? Like that is the thing. Like London is super expensive. Like it's, but you can find like, there are some cheap rents. You just maybe have to look around again, maybe get a bit lucky. And then, building your kind of group of friends or acquaintances to know kind of what's happening work-wise. And yeah, it's...
or a great idea is to find a job that's going to help you in your career. So like as a dancer, like you want to do like, I don't, but like lots of people like doing like yoga or they like doing fitness classes. So try and get a job in a yoga studio. So you're going to get paid your £10 an hour, but then you're probably going to get free yoga classes as well. And that's going to carry over to keeping you fit and healthy for when you want to dance.
Yeah, like about 5 years ago, you would go into any of the like fitness studios that were opening in London and
There'd be a dancer, behind the desk.
But like even working dancers, just
the most working
Yeah.
dancer in this country, I won't say her name on blast, but like she worked in a gym behind the desk because she got free gym membership from it.
Yeah.
Like, and she'd do a few hours a week. She'd get money for it. She'd get a free gym membership, and she tours and choreographs the biggest jobs you can ever imagine.
I'm still a personal trainer, so I still have another job. Yeah, so I'm like still doing another job. It's also because I don't pay for the gym because I train the person and I have to do the same thing. So I still have that, but I don't want to kind of give it up because if not, I wouldn't make myself go to the gym every day. So it's kind of like I get paid to train my body and to make myself fit. So just know that like even people that work or teach or whatever, they might have another job or something, but I'm still happy that I'm doing that again because I want my body to be fit. If I wasn't doing that, I would probably do something else, and I wake up super early every morning to do that. And after 1 p.m. I'm free, but it's not like as heavy as before because I felt like I was a bit panicking before when I came out of college and I was like, oh, work. Now I was like, oh, good, I'm working out, but I also enjoy it, so.
Good
Yeah.
question.
What would you say, in your opinion, is the most ideal way to get your foot in the door, or like the third way to do it?
Oh, wow.
Okay, well, I'll go just because
Yeah.
for me it happened in class, so that's my ideal way. Like, because it's supernatural for me, like, you know what I mean? Class, like, that's how it happened for me, so that would be ideal, how I see it. But again, like, it's kind of out of your hands, do you know what I mean? Because, like, it just happened that I went to a class, the choreographer, the teacher, basically he was working for this choreographer, said, oh, there's this, he knew she was looking for a white guy for a job, said there's this new white guy. No, but this is how it works in the industry as well. You have to be, you know what I mean? This is like, as in, it was for Mobos, so, there wasn't really call for more than one white guy.
Betty had the groove.
So she came to watch the next week, and then she gave me the job on the spot, and then, like I said, and then she booked me for like a few more jobs, and that's how it worked for me. So like, that to me was the most natural thing, because I've always loved class. Like, and the same thing, like, when working with Anthony, working with Cisco, working with Sean, like, we'd all do jobs, and then we'd be back in class the next day. You know what I mean? Class was just and we'd all be in each other's classes, and we'd all, like, for me, like, I love class because it's like, a testing ground. You know what I mean? Like, I don't take it that much anymore, but like I used to take everything all the time. Like, and if someone knew was teaching in London, yeah, I would take whatever. Like, and I would go and just try their class, you know? Because for me, it's always like, I go because I want to see what you are giving, how that makes me respond. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I look at class. Like, I know it's like, it's not different now. It's like the mentality can be different now. But I always look at class as like a testing ground, and I always look at it as prep for auditions. Now, that's what, like, this is like a whole other conversation, but like, you know, ideally auditions will return regularly, because that's kind of what makes everyone remember and feel like at least there's a pathway. You know what I mean? Because now it is difficult. Like, you know, you send your packet to like the agents and then see what happens, you know, like, yeah, or if you have a huge following, that's the other thing that sucks. Like, if you have a huge following, they're going to take you more seriously, you know. The same thing happens for teachers, though. You like might apply to a teach in a studio and they'll say, how many followers do you have? You know, like, to me at that point, I don't want to teach in your studio anymore. Do you know what I mean? But like, that's, so yeah.
Getting booked off like a video submission or a self-tape, like that could be someone's 700th tape.
Yeah.
Like, so they've got so many, so you're not really auditioning.
Yeah.
Like, you'll rehearse, it's who can get the most rehearsal in to make that tape happen, maybe. Like, for me, the most ideal way, and the ones that have meant the most, are the ones that I've been in there and give like sweat and tears and aches and pains and had to work for that job and do 6 rounds of auditions and then book the job. They're the ones that you walk away feeling most satisfied. Then it doesn't even necessarily become about the job. It becomes about like, I fucking earned it. And I outworked everyone in the room, or I outshone everyone in the room, or I had something that I could offer that other people couldn't. Because like, I'm really fortunate that like, I got to a point where I didn't audition for stuff. Everyone would audition for jobs and I'd go, I want to do that. And they go, okay. And then all the people that auditioned would get taken off and I'd get put on it. And as cool as that is, the job doesn't mean the same.
No.
Yeah.
You take it for granted. You're just like, it's just a job.
No, and that's one of the things that's kind of wrong with it.
With
We've all been a beneficiary of that.
We all have, like,
But I know it's wrong.
yeah,
You know what I
but
mean?
it's nice.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean as much. Because, like, earning that audition for me, like, going in and, like, dancing next to the people who you look up to and then getting it over them, like, it's so rewarding because it shows that your training and your class is paying off.
The thing is, there's still people I want to work with that I don't know the ideal way sometimes. So I'm like sitting here listening to them too, feeling like, oh, they're my teachers. And I'm like, you know, so the ideal way that I'm thinking to is like try to be the best version of yourself. Like, that's what I'm doing. It's like, you will find me in class because I still want to be the best dancer I can. And I feel like you're never arrived, you know? So then you're ready for, say, like, if they want to see you, if they want to see, again, it's like the social media, you do want to have like good footage of you dancing, but if you take that away, are you a good person to work with? Like, say, if you actually book the job, you want to be rebooked forever. So are you actually ready for the job? Like, I'm thinking for myself as well, like, I want to constantly train and get better, or stay better at certain things, or even learn more, because then when I will get to work with the people that I want to work still, they're not going to just employ me for one gig and that's it. They're going to be like, oh, first of all, she's a nice person to work with. She wants to work and she can do it. You know what I mean? So I feel like we need to take our mind off the get to talk to that person and be there and like just be a good dancer first. Because imagine if you can like be like best friend with everyone and then you can't dance. That's crazy. You know, like, you want to be good first. That's the basics. You should be like always wanted to be good. That's what I'm thinking in my head, is like, don't worry, just be the best you can. And then it's going to be a little bit slower, but it feels good, I think.
And what, like, it's very difficult, but like, to trust kind of in the journey, but like, what's going to be for you is going to be for you. You know what I mean? And like, I know, again, it's one of those things that's much easier said than done. Like, as in, if you really desperately want to work and you're not working, like, we've all had those times, or we've all looked at TV and been like, seeing, you know, 6 people that aren't us on screen and being like, I want to be one of those 6. You know what I mean? There's been times when we've all felt that. But I guess it's also taking responsibility for what you can take responsibility for. You know what I mean? Like if you're going to auditions, well, whenever there is an audition, but if you are and you're getting to a certain point and getting cut, are you always doing the same thing? You know what I mean? Can you take responsibility for, okay, this time, what can I change? Like, am I kind of, you know, do I know, okay, who's choreographing? Do I know what they like? Do I look at who they book? Do I look at their kind of, the type of movement they like? You know what I mean? Like, you can actually kind of clue yourself in quite a bit before an audition, you know? And I feel like sometimes people don't, because you just kind of go and think, I'm just going to do what I normally do. You know what I mean? And sometimes that will work, you know, or sometimes that might work, you know what I mean? But then there's also kind of trying to be that extra bit smart about it and prepare yourself as best as possible, and kind of like, whether it's the aesthetic, you know what they like in a look, you know what I mean? Or whether it's like I remember the Jason Derulo, the time that they came and auditioned. Do you remember when Amy Allen went mad? Not mad, that's a bit over the top, sorry. She gave some clear direction. I love how it's gone from mad to clear direction. It's like taking it down a few notches.
She does go mad though.
No, but yeah, but basically there were like, I think there'd been like 3 groups of like women dancers. And after the 3rd group, she was like, have you guys ever watched a Jason Derulo performance? She was like, what freestyles are you guys doing? You know what I mean? Because like everyone was doing a more like kind of, almost like a podium kind of freestyle. You know what I mean? And she's like, you know,
the girl dancers on Jason Derulo are like ninjas. They're athletic. They're sexy. Like they can do everything. They're doing backflips in heels and then killing sexy steps again.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like a woman dancer more often than not has to be able to do everything the guys do and then everything the women are expected to do. You know what I mean? Like, so, you know, thankfully there's more kind of awareness brought to kind of gender identity, and less, you know, I think hopefully there'll be less kind of norms placed on it in the choreographic context, but let's just kind of put it back in like more traditional, outdated kind of forms for now. But yeah, she basically said, like, you know, what are you guys doing? Like, you're auditioning for Jason Derulo. Why is that your freestyle? You know what I mean? It's like, it's about knowing as well what you're auditioning for, you know? Like, and I just remember thinking, like, yeah, God, like, you know, are people, like, it's just that extra bit of awareness. And, you know, that can change you from like a maybe to, like, basically, I always think in auditions, you're trying to minimize the reasons they can cut you. Because no one really likes cutting people. But as soon as you make it easy for them, it clears their conscience.
To piggyback on that, like, I booked that job. That audition, I booked it. The night before, I booked like 80% of the auditions I do. And it's because I'm good, but it's because when I go in, I know everything about the person that's choreographing it. I know every dancer that's danced on it. So the night before that audition, I didn't get invited to that audition. And I messaged Jerry, like, I hear there's a Jason Derulo audition. Please, can I come? And he was like, yeah, okay, thinking nothing of it. I stayed up all night learning the choreo from the award show they did the week before. I picked one dancer on stage. It was Ivan Kumuev. It was the one I could relate to the most. I was like, what's he wearing? He's wearing a black Leatherman's baseball jacket with some jeans and a snapback. So my outfit for that audition was the exact same costume that he wore on stage. What's the choreo? I learned all the rhythm patterns. I learned all the choreo. I did learn one bit the wrong way, but I figured it out because I knew the rhythm patterns. And then when it comes to the freestyle, I was like, okay, what freestyles are they putting in the show? Cool, they had Cody Wiggins, Lee Daniels, Ivan, and I can't remember the other guy's name. But I looked at all their freestyles and I was like, okay, this is the things they like. I can kind of show that I have an understanding of that, but I can also add me, because I know I'm probably going to be the only one in there that can do the choreo and out-trick most people. So I got to put my strengths and what I know they already like into one. Do you know what I mean? So when I walked in that room, even when I could see that people were in their joggers and stuff, I was like, I'm a step ahead of you. Just by the aesthetic, I'm showing them I'm already ready for the job.
Yeah.
I'm doing half the battle for them. Do you know what I mean? It's doing your research. And I feel like most people audition for stuff, and if I said to you, who do you want to dance for? And you go, Lady Gaga. And I said, who's the choreographer? You go, I don't know. And it's like, cool, it's Richie Squirrel Jackson. Like, who did he train by? Lorianne Gibson. Like, if you know your homework and your background, then you can understand the influences they have or the inspirations. You want to dance with Chris Brown? Oh, okay, well, who's his choreographers? Fly Styles, Rich and Tone. Like, where are they from? San Fran, they're house influenced. They were part of a crew. the more you know these things, the more equipped you are going in. You want to dance for Madonna? Who's their choreographers? Rich and Tone. Same with Chris Brown. That's weird. I would never have thought that. No, because they're different aesthetics. But if you go into that Madonna audition, you kill a house routine, then Rich and Tone go, yo, this is not just the same girl who's doing the cute heel Vogue number. They can do this as well. And the more clued up and educated you are of the things you're going for, whether it be commercial, musical theatre, like I don't like MT. I can name you creatives in musical theatre. I can name you all the Elphabas and Glindas. Like I don't even like musical theatre. But it's because I did so much homework. And like most of my jobs that I've ever auditioned for, I've walked in and I can tell you the background of the job, the creative, like the Footloose. I knew what track when we auditioned for Footloose I was going to be. So when it comes to our time to do it, I stood in the same place that I would if I was on stage. And then when it comes to the freestyle moment, I did the same freestyle that I saw the week before on Dancing with the Stars. Because I'm filling the boxes for you. Granted, if there's no way for you to do that much research and that specific, just know who the creative is or know who the choreographer is. So if it's going to be Jay Ravel, be like, okay, who's Jay Ravel like at the moment? Okay, well, at the moment he's working with Cash Powell, so I should go and do some Cash classes. So Cash likes me, and that might be a recommendation. Or if I want to work for Kylie, okay, well, that's by Ashley Wallen. Ashley Wallen's really driven by Fosse. So maybe if I can add some Fosse moments to my freestyle, that's going to carry across. And it's all these things as dancers that we don't ever think about. We just go, I'm going to kill the steps. But imagine you can kill the steps and give them a bit of what they want.
Yeah, and like Kane arriving at the audition like that, think when we said earlier that like you're giving them context, like he looked like he belonged. You're making it, like you said, you're making their job easier. So you can make their job easier two ways. Like you can kind of do the thing that they ask you not to do, like say when the freestyle was not what they would want, you're making an easy cut for them. Or you can make it easy for them to want to hire you. You turn up looking like you already belong on their picture. You know what I mean? You turn up looking like you belong there. That makes it easy. You know, I remember similar, like I went to do this commercial and like an ad, and I've no acting, whatever, literally no acting training, and terrible actor, but genuinely. But somehow I got to the last round for this ad, and it was the director and me, and whatever I was wearing, I borrowed my housemate's shirt at the time, and like was just wearing a vest, a shirt, and jeans, and basically what I walked in wearing for the final recall, that's what they put me in for the ad. So sometimes you just walk in and they're like, yeah, that's it. You know what I mean? Because I still got that. I cannot act for shit, but like I somehow still got that. Like, but because as much as like, you know, we call a lot of these people creatives and stuff, like, you know, sometimes just you taking the pressure off them having to kind of come up with everything because you come up with it, you do the work for them, you know, that really helps. Like, so yeah, it's kind of. And I think, like you said there, if you can't do that much research, it's a choice. And like you said now with you knowing MT people, because it's a habit. Like your choices become habits. You choose to do your research. There won't be a time when you won't do your research because it becomes a habit. And the more good habits you create, like you can argue that habits are a bad thing anyway because we should not be like, it's just compulsive behavior. But the more good habits you have in your professional sense, the more it's going to stand to you. You know what I mean? Like if you like are always on time or early. If you're early, you're on time. You know what I mean? If you're on time, you're late. No, I'm always late.
I'm always early.
But like, you know what I mean? It just really stands to you. So it's like, and I was the same. Like I used to just look on Block LA's website, like in 2005 when I was, even before I moved here, just to know what people are doing. Just because I want to know who's doing what, and then I can look out for it. But it's like, it's a habit. You just know. And then like that stands for me now. Like I'm not involved in the industry anymore, but I can tell you who's doing what. You know what I mean? Just because I know. Like I don't even care to know, but I just know because I listen and I look.
And everyone, like there are so many good dancers, but these little things are the things that give you the edge. Like,
dude, so this is the thing, right? Like, put it like this, right? 0 to 10 in dance. This is the thing that people don't ever want to admit, right? If these are zeros and these are 10s in dance, zeros to threes, zeros to threes, never going to make it. Okay, cool. They'll probably quit pretty soon, right? Right. 3s to 6s, 3s to 6.5s, this is the majority of dancers. Anything you can do to get yourself out of the 6.5 to a 7, 7.5, 8, 8.5, 9, 9.5, 10, all the people that are working are here. You know what I mean? And this is the problem. Like, people don't realize that the majority of people live in this zone here. And like, the word for it is mediocre. Now, everyone thinks mediocre is a bad word, but it's not. It just means that you're average. And now you're average in an exceptional set of people, because I think anyone who dances full time is exceptional. Like they are, for me. But anything you can do to get out of that whether that be like just really being good for your prep, your research, or being an excellent professional, or just being actually a sound person. You know what I mean? Anything you can do to increase your chances of moving up in that scale, which makes you more employable. Because I don't know, I watch people kind of train, and I think so many people train to stay in this zone here because they do what everyone else does, and they're good at the other things everyone else is good at. So what's making you get out of that zone? Some people get out of it because they're great looking. They just win the genetic lottery when they're born. You know what I mean? But it's true. Like some people, they like, as in, you know what I mean? There are people in the industry that like, clients just want them on jobs because they're going to sell it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like, don't get me wrong, they're still talented and good as well. But then this just gives them such a leg up. Like they're seen as an 8 before they've danced, and you're like, okay, now they're a 7 because they're not great, but they're still a 7. You know what I mean? But this is the truth. Like, and I think in a nice way, there's more of the spectrum of humanity being presented on stage now. So I don't think you have to be like you don't have to be a certain look anymore like you used to have to. You know what I mean? Like there used to be far narrower parameters. But I think the same thing still stands in terms of your actual, like, for me, like trying to escape that kind of mediocre zone, that should, if professional dance is your goal, that should be your priority. Mm-hmm. And like I said, the more you train to stay mediocre, I don't know, I just think the less you're going to kind of, I mean, I don't know. Like, the more you train like everyone else trains, the less you're separating yourself. Does that make sense?
You're putting yourself in a pool of more people to get chosen from, so your odds are even less.
Yeah, well, no, you're always in that pool, but as in, if you're seen, I don't know, it's like, as soon as you separate yourself, right, as soon as you're seen as being part of the working kind of clique, you're out of that. But like, I think that's the hard thing, people finding that way out of this into that. You know what I mean? For me, I think that's, and again, it's kind of like that foot in the door, because this is when you start getting your foot in the door, when you start getting to that level, you know? Yeah. And you may actually be that good already, but until the right people see you're that good to put you in those positions, that's the thing, you know?
It's also, I feel like, who do you aspire to? Like, that research made me learn so much. Like, I didn't know anyone. Like, I knew everything about MT. Like, I knew, like, the notes of every musical possible in the world, but I had no idea of anything else. So when I started to research, and I still do it, like I was on the train the other day when we went to UDO, I was coming back, I'm reading this biography of the guy that played Burr in Hamilton in London, and I'm still taking notes. Like, I'm such a geek, I just love this stuff. And I still like was writing down who was in the room with him and like who he'd learned with, because to me it's like I'm inspired by anything that is connected to the theater, dance, and performing. So I should be knowing. It's not even like do your research, it's like I want to do my research because it's so good to just know that there is amazing people that I don't know, and they have inspired my work too. Like when I got to know when I went to LA to train with Dana Foglia, I didn't even know who she was that much. And there was oh my God, the world, like, I can be better than the mediocre that you were talking about. I was like, sometimes we see what we have next to us, but what if you want to aim for higher? Like, you don't want to just hit the steps and be like, I want to be part of the clique of the dancing people. Is that enough? Like, I feel like it's good because you still need to dance, but you want to like aspire to like, who do you want to learn from? Like, is it the same class every week, or do you want to learn from someone else? And also, like, this is the thing, like with the learning and research and stuff, I feel like do your own research instead of like following what everyone else is doing, because I feel like there is this like sheep kind of thing. It's like, oh, everyone is going there, so I need to go there. You might not like the class, but you're still there every week, and it's like, huh? Like, how is that gonna make you better? Like, you have your own brain, like, you know what you want to do, you know? And I think I fell into that a little bit after college because I had no idea. And still, like, a couple of years ago, like, I still was like, I want to book that job. I want to book that job. And then now I'm like, why did I want to book it, really? Of course, I need to pay my rent, so it would be nice. But I understand why I didn't book it, because I just didn't, first of all, I didn't feel it, but also I didn't really fit the job, you know? So, I don't know, it just comes with awareness, like, and time. Again, patience. Time to understand, who do you want to follow the path of? Like, listen to the podcasts, listen to people's lives. Don't get mad and be like, oh yeah, but she was lucky. I used to be that person. I used to be like, well, she lived there, so now
Every time
I'm like,
I say I booked my job at 18, Irene goes, ugh.
like my face is always like, okay. No, it's fine. I didn't even want to dance professionally at 18, so it's fine. He's always like, oh, I've always booked every job. And I'm like, actually, 2021, 3 auditions, didn't book any of the jobs. I'm still dancing. And I still know why. I mean, one of them I don't know. But it's fine because I'm going to re-audition for that. I'm going to get it. But again, I didn't stop there. I went home and I was like, okay, let me get in touch with the guy that was in that audition and know who stayed after. And like, you know what I mean? But yeah, didn't book any of them. But it's fine. I'm still here. But he did.
Dope.
Oh, yay.
Last question.
How did you know what sort of dance path you want to go down? I know it's important to be versatile, but I'm very conflicted between musical theatre and commercial. And just, I don't know what job I sort of fit into. Like, how did you know what was right for you?
I would say if you feel like you love both, you can do both. I don't think there's this is the way. There's an everything. Like if you look at Michael Naylor, like he's the most incredible all-rounded dancer probably we have in this country across all genres. And he's done musical theatre, he's done hip-hop theatre, he's done commercial work, he's done touring. You know, if you go and look at Leah Hill, commercial dancer, musical theatre,
Choreographer now as well.
Choreographer, Sophie Carmen-Jones.
Yeah.
Really, really great commercial career, and now is killing the musical theatre
she's
world.
great in Moulin Rouge.
Like there are so many people that dive into both. So I think if you have the desire to do both, the only thing that's stopping you from doing both is yourself saying, I need to do one or the other, because you don't. You can do both. And actually, the lines are getting more blurred than they've ever been.
For sure.
Like musical theatre isn't just musical theatre anymore. Like one of the biggest choreographers in musical theatre, her name's Carrie-Anne Ingroulier, because I know I'm going to ruin it. Like, she's technically trained, and she's, you know, she was taught by most of your ballet teacher, Lisa Aldridge. Like, but she was the dancer in Zoo Nation, the hip hop show. She'd be in Jimmy's locking class every Saturday, and she'd be in house. Like, and now she's choreographing all these huge West End musicals and musicals on Broadway. So the lines are getting closer and closer. MT now just determines the job description, not necessarily the movement. Whereas we used to go, this is musical theatre and this is hip hop or commercial. Whereas now, you do hip hop and commercial, but in a musical theatre stage. And you sometimes, if you work for Ashley Wallen, you might do a musical theatre movement on a commercial stage. The lines are getting blurred. So if you just pull yourself up and like the more bows you have to your string, or string to your bow?
Strings to your bow, yeah.
Strings to your bow. See how I look for help then. Help me.
I'm like, I'm for it.
Save me.
Can talk.
the more it's going to help you. Because like I hate musical theatre when I was in college. I hated it. And then when I go into jobs and I do X Factor and I'm doing shimmies for Mary Byrne in a silver shirt, I was like, oh, this is kind of musical theatre-ish. Probably should have went to those classes I didn't go to. All right. The lines are getting blurred, so the more you know, the better it is for you. But I don't think you have to pick one.
No, not at all. And I think it's a great point that the lines are being blurred. The same on cruises, like, because people are, you know, seeing X Factor, Voice, etc., and they're seeing the dancing that they see on those TV shows. When they go on a cruise now, they're not surprised to see something like that in front of them, and they kind of welcome it. And cruises are kind of getting wise to that. So everything is kind of modernizing. You know what I mean?
Even like, pantomime.
Yeah, right.
Like, it's all adapted.
Yeah. Because like, you know, as we said earlier, like the dominant cultural, not just musical, but the dominant cultural force has been hip hop driving kind of the world since the late 90s. So like that's you know, you look at Hamilton now, I mean, you know, set hundreds of years ago, but it's basically got hip hop drum pattern. And Juliet, Max Martin, the guy whose music is in it, he's like a producer for, you know, Britney, Neo, all these people.
Into the Heights.
Yeah, in the Heights, exactly. Yeah, like they just, you know, things are really kind of chances are being taken on newer projects. You know, so your ability to kind of jump from one field to the other will actually probably now more than ever, you're going to have opportunity too. You know, it's just being able to, like, for me, the word versatile is useful, but I actually prefer the word adaptable. Because I think like sometimes versatile people can dance jazz one way, hip hop maybe one way, like ballet one way, but like for me, adaptable people can like, they take the skills from all of those styles that they learn and then they apply them to whatever is given to them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Transferable skills.
Yeah, because it's like, say on Sunday, I remember I was taught in bass on Sunday with Marco, and like the first move we did today, that Skeeter Rabbit, I wanted that in there, and I watched like these two people who obviously learned to Skeeter Rabbit before, but I said very clearly, I want the knee up and I want the kick to go straight to the mirror, and then you put the foot down, and they kicked across and low every single time, and I actually made a point, being like, no, I want it like this for today, and they like nodded at me. I was like, okay, cool, you got the note. No, every single time they just did it the way and this is maybe the way their teacher taught them, which is fine. So they're good students for what their teacher taught them, but they're bad students because they can't then learn anything else. This is, again, kind of like what we were saying earlier about being unteachable. And like when it's something like that, it's so like glaringly obvious. And that's what I mean by adaptable. So it's like any technique you learn, like that's just one way of doing it. You should be able to then kind of adjust that to whatever is being asked of you, you know? But yeah, in terms of the MT, like, and yeah, same, like if you love contemporary, so many dancers work in the contemporary field and then move over. Like all the lines have been blurred in general, like in the world now. But, you know, things are getting less separate and less kind of put in boxes now, you know? And for all of us, hopefully that's a good thing, because it just leads to more, like the more kind of things influence one another in a nice way, like you get the best of both worlds and it creates something new. You know what I mean? So like MT is modernizing and they're putting in some like cool stuff, and then maybe some of the older stuff, like even say, you know, some like Singing in the Rain type kind of stuff will then make an appearance in something where you don't think that belongs, but it'll be cool. You know what I mean? Because they'll put it in a new context and they'll keep the quality, they'll keep the tradition, and they'll keep the like the foundation of it and the kind of essence and the soul of it, but they'll apply it to a new context and we'll be like, oh, that's cool now. You know what I mean? Anyway, yes.
So this comes from personal experience. In college, I actually got told, after I've done like the whole musical theater, blah, blah, I wanted to, like, my dream was to be in Hairspray and We Will Rock You. Woo. But I found out, because Carrie was my teacher in college, so I wanted to learn more about hip hop and I hate saying commercial, but commercial dancing. Yeah, I just don't know what to call it, but like dancing, just, you know. So I got to do that, and I was doing a little bit more dancing, but I was still singing. Don't know why, but they, after college, and during college actually, for my last show, I didn't really sing a lot. That's another story. But when I got out of college, one of the agencies that I wanted to switch my musical theater agency, they actually told me I couldn't do musical theater because I had a strong accent. And I got so broken out of it, and I stopped singing because I was like, well, there's nothing I can do about it. I was very Italian. Like, I was like very, very strongly accent Italian. And so I stopped singing, and because I didn't have the best experience in college for the last like month or something, I was like, do you know what? I will kill the dance world and just like dance. But guess what? That's why I'm saying, like, don't make a decision, because now I miss it. So I've been going to singing classes every single week for the past 3 years. It's an investment, but it's worth it. Is because, like, the choice that someone made me do for absolutely no reason affected my training to the point that, like, the voice, for example, is a must. Like, it's like dancing. If I don't dance for 7 years, that is going to be hard to get back into it, you know? So don't make a decision. Don't make anyone make a decision for you as well, because I know that college is very compartment, like, you know, Irene was a cheesy dancer. Can you see that in me when I do heels? No, but I was that person. Guess what? I trained. But they don't see that sometimes. So don't make a decision, because I feel like, again, it's not versatile, but the more you love different things and you can do all of them, the better it is also for you as a performer. Like, I think it's boring to dance always in the same way. Like, I get bored. Like, where was that? Like 2 months ago, I asked one of my friends to get in the studio and give me tap lessons because I was like, I need to like learn more. Like I'm like obsessed with learning, like, and get better, you know? So you get like given walls sometimes, and I'm the kind of person that will be like, I'll break that wall, you wait. But it's so hard to do that, and I understand that, especially when you're like, you know, the technical girl. But I've seen, oh my God, I've seen like technical people that can smash a hip hop class and a pop in. Like, again, like when I went to like LA, new place, new people, I was like, oh my God, like they can dance and they can do different things. What is that? Because I was always born with like, you're gonna do the show and you're gonna be in the commercial piece. That's it. Also, I wasn't allowed to do like, you know, partner work because we didn't have boys, so I was the boy. So I was the boy. Yeah, and I wasn't as skinny enough to do that, the partner work. And now I'm like, can't do partner work. I hate it, but I wish I was like, it's not that I can't do it, but like, you know, it's like someone else that makes choices for you. And the question is like, how do you know? Starting from the question, you're telling me that you have to, someone told you that you have to choose. And you don't have to, because you can do whatever you want realistically if you like it. So if you like the both, you can do the both. And again, I told you, like, I booked my best job, like first best job at 26. Like, it took me years. I left college when I was 21, 22. So like, I wasn't like taking the same class because they said Irene is gonna take that class forever, you know. I feel like, and also you allow yourself to change your mind, because I feel like, again, it's like everyone wants to book that job, everyone wants to be on tour, that job. While if you wake up in the morning and you're like, I don't think that's what I want to do. Like you wasted all that, not wasted, it's never a waste, but you just been, you know, going to that choreographer class for 5 years and then your heart is not in it anymore and you might book the job and hate it, you know? It's never wasted. One thing is like if you hate the musical theater and like the singing and stuff, like I see it as a challenge now, but if you like it, there is no reason why. And also I feel like if you're a technical dancer and can go to a hip-hop class and do the singing and do the acting, you never know what's gonna come out, you know? They can be like, oh, can you do a triple pirouette and a kick, like, and some people can do it, and you're like, oh, I can actually.
And then you're in step up 7.
You know, yeah, no, and you never know. It's like, I know one of my good friends now is filming a film, and he's a dancer, but then they were like, oh, can you act? He was like, I can try. And he's acting in it too. Like, you don't know. Again, I have very good friends that now are going into acting, but they're still dancing. I didn't even know that they were taking classes in acting, but they're still dancing. Like, you can, it's like, can be your little project. For me, like, it's my little project because I love it, you know, and you can do whatever. I started, this is like a little bracket, but I started, I used to play in an orchestra and be a piano player before I danced. That's why I started dancing later, because I was supposed to play the piano forever. And then I was like, don't want to do that. So I left that for so many years because I thought I didn't need it. And then during the pandemic, I went back to the piano and I was like, oh, like, I miss that. It's another skill that is not dancing, for example. But now I'm like training. I bought a piano and I'm training on it because I like it, not because I think, oh, that could be useful in an audition and whack out my piano. You know, imagine.
They make a girl magic mic. You're in.
Yeah, I'm like quadruple threat. No, but it is. I feel like there is so much stress. I see so much stress in like, what do I have to do? And there is a lot of answers for it. There is like 3 different answers because there's like different life paths and stuff. But it is always almost like you don't remember that you have to lead with what you like first and what actually makes you feel good. Because even now, I try to go to some places and some classes that I should be in. And like my heart is breaking, like I can't do it. And I might not book the jobs, but like I just want to be happy at the end of the day. But you know, it's, yeah, just don't think there's boxes, as they were saying, like now musical theater choreography is getting so modern. That's why I like it so much now. It's just so, it's so inspirational to see all the job that you've done on another stage with the acting and the singing. It's just so good. And get inspired. If you don't know if you like something, I go and watch shows, like, and I get inspired. I cry. Just like, oh my God, it's so good. And then you go in the studio and be like, okay, let's go.
Sweet. Great job, guys. Thank you. So I'll give you like 10-ish minutes.
Oh, wow.
To get some sugar in you or something and warm up. We'll do it like a full-on warm-up for my class. But really good questions. 10, 15 minutes. We'll start when you're all back. Go.